No, Marvel did not redesign the characters from the new Social Justice Warriors. That's the new High Republic characters you're looking at. We're going to talk about that, Batman, Ray Fisher, and a whole lot more this morning with Mr. H on Midnight's Edge of the Morning. Good morning. It's the middle of the week. We made it this far. We're almost in the official the new year. Welcome, everybody, to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. I'm Tom Connor. With me is Andre the Boss Man. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. We made it till Wednesday. Let's see how much further we make it.
And with us, one of our favorite reoccurring guests, Mr. H from Mr. H Reviews. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, not too bad. Plodding along, as always. Thank you for
You
having
sound
me.
so excited.
Always excited to be here. Come on now.
I gotta ask, are you a Cobra Kai fan?
No, I never got into it. I see everyone raving about it, and I've been catching up with some other bits, so I haven't had a chance to watch it lately. But yeah, no, I do need to check it out because everyone seems to love it. So
it's
happy to check it out.
Well, I've been giving Andre shit daily because it's like, come on, watch it.
Well, it took me ages to get him to watch Fat Man. It took us ages to get him to watch that as well.
I know it did.
I did see it in the end.
Finally see that.
Oh yeah, he did see it in the end. You know, eventually. Yeah, finally, yeah. I guess.
Eventually, I'll also catch up on Cobra Kai eventually. But yeah, but Cobra Kai, what I've seen of it so far is amazingly good. So it's not just that I don't want to see it. I just have to make a priority out of it, and I won't be able to watch all of it in time to do a review, but we'll get more into Cobra Kai and everything else later on. First of all, greetings to absolutely everyone who is joining us. We're so glad that you decided to come watch us break down so many things, beginning with Star Wars: The High Republic, and let's go. We're going to have so much fun with that. So greetings to everyone joining us. We have Natasha Cloutier in the chat, who are our trusted wrench for today. We have Barrel Bob. We have Marcos A, who also sent us a super chat right away for $10. So thank you so much. Saying Star Wars High Republic characters are so unoriginal. This is what you came up with? And why are you giving up a Vulcan symbol sign? What are Star Wars, or we are Star Wars?
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant. We'll get into that.
And we got another super chat just before that from the Geiger. I think that is how we pronounce it.
Looks like it, and he says sci-fi fans should be insulted. They pulled out all the aliens and claim they're adding diversity. I've identified with a green blob in the Orville. Yeah, good point. And we also... Oh, Matt Giles sent us £20. Well, thank you so much. Asking, do you think if we get one more bad Star Wars, the franchise will be over? What do you think would happen if fans boycotted the High Republic and the Acolyte? I want to hear what you guys have to say about that before I give my thoughts on it.
Wow.
If we get one more bad Star Wars, is that it for the franchise?
No. Inevitably, it's not going to be it for the franchise. It's the same as like the likes of Alien and Predator. They're always money makers to these companies, which is good for fans ultimately, because it does mean that they will keep trying. I mean, obviously there'll be a lot of people that don't like the sound of that, because obviously they don't want them to keep trying. I get that. But yeah, I mean, no, maybe it'll be put on ice for a fraction of a second, but no, not really. I mean, we heard that they were going to be putting it on ice, and that never materialized anyway. So, nah.
I tell you what, do I think that one more bad movie will kill Star Wars? Probably not at this point. I think the damage has already been done. But like Mr. H was saying, I mean, most of these franchises can bounce back. And if anything, Star Wars is probably one of the more universally, look at what we've seen already with The Mandalorian. I mean, despite, some people not being happy with it, the overall majority are. It's one of the highest rated TV shows ever as far as that last episode goes on IMDb. And I know that's not like an end all be all, but it's a nice, arbitrary number to kind of look at and gauge, how people
Well, it's
are.
comparisons, isn't it?
Yeah,
People didn't have to
exactly.
vote for it to be. They didn't have to rate it, but they have. And so, if you're comparing it to other things that are rated, it still matters.
Yeah.
It is something which you can take. It's a measurement. That's the thing, isn't it? You can still measure it.
And I think that's kind of proof that Star Wars is redeemable, more comparably than something like maybe Star Trek or Doctor Who, which I think the latter we'll definitely get into at some point here. But no, I think unless you're talking like they'd have to do something really bad, and I mean really bad. We're talking like a Darth Vader movie and totally fuck him up, or something to that effect, right? I mean, I got to imagine.
Well, they might have that chance soon in Kenobi. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
True.
So
they've got Darth Vader coming back, so let's not be prophesizing here.
Yeah, that's actually my one worry for that series. But on this question, no, one thing is not going to end Star Wars. And also what will happen if people were to, as the question asked, boycott High Republic and the Acolytes. Honestly, that's the best thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Because what you would have then is you would have all of Kennedy's projects fail miserably, while all of Favreau's projects succeed. Best thing that can happen. The less the High Republic does, the worse the Acolyte does. Honestly, the better. We want them to. Well, first of all, we want them to be good. But if they're not good, then we actually want them to fail. Because you have two very different factions, and what we want to see is the good faction take over everything. And the way to do that is by having all of the projects of the Kennedy faction fail. But before we get into exploring that in more detail, we had a couple of super chats earlier. Sontar said, "This is how democracy dies, with thunderous applaud." Which is sad but true. And Mr. Tickletrunk sent us 2 super chats for $5 each, so thank you so much. And he first said, "Star Wars is about having diverse-looking aliens that we can identify with too. Yet it's one reptilian character and humans." And he follows that up with, "Science fiction fans identified with blue people, lizards, and blobs in the past. The writings team's agenda has pulled diversity out of Star Wars here." And with that, let's get into the first main topic of today, which of course is the High Republic.
Before we do that, we got one more super chat from Cedric Taylor, 08, that says, "Have you seen Mr. Sci-Fi Movie? He's trying to get Netflix to pick it. I watched and it was good." No, I have not.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It's completely news to me.
I'll see what I can do about checking into that.
But yeah, thanks for the super chat. And then back to the High Republic, because this then is a publishing initiative.
Do we have to?
Well, we're going to have so much fun with it.
I know.
Promise it'll be fun. We don't have to read it.
I got to say
there's
this
limits.
up front. I said this last night. This is the most pomp and circumstance I've ever seen for a whole lot of nothing in my life. It's a couple of fucking books and comic books. Who cares?
Well, I mean, it's not exactly expansive, is it? Like they seem to make it out like it was. It's the most nothing burger I've seen from Disney for quite some time. For something that was supposed to be, it's universe spanning. It's so big. They even had. Do you remember that initial video where they showed the writers' room talking about it, and someone even wrote dinosaurs on it or some crap like that? Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and the first thing that they had was diversity.
Of course. Come on,
of course.
You see the images. It is quite literally a exercise in checking some boxes. It's an absolute joke.
What I wonder upon watching that first announcement video with all of the creators and all of the writers, and I was wondering, where do you? Is it possible to collect such a gathering of untalented people within one room? But evidently it is. And here then we have on screen now the different phases of the High Republic, which are called Light of the Jedi, Quest of the Jedi, and Trials of the Jedi. And honestly, I don't care about a single one of, like, how long is this thing going to last? Like, they said that this thing was going to last for years, didn't they? That's something that they threatened with. So what we're seeing right now is phase 1, I take it, which will come out partially in Marvel Comics, partially in books, and about coming up. Because they through their, by way of Bleeding Cool, they first published that they have 100,000 pre-sale orders, and then they amended that to no, we now have 200,000 pre-sale orders, portraying this as a huge, massive hit and a massive win for the High Republic. But is it though? What are your thoughts on that? On orders of 100,000 copies of, like, this first Marvel version of it. Mr. H, how does that number sound to you?
No, it's goddamn terrible. Again, anyone who thinks that's good is equally as moronic as anyone that thinks that Wonder Woman making $100 million was good. That's terrible. That is absolutely atrocious. 100,000 orders? What? From where? Like the Philippines? That's a joke.
Scholastic.
For the worldwide biggest property ever, 100,000 or 200, whatever, unless it's in the millions, you don't even want to brag about it, because that's real bad.
We have more subscribers.
Really bad. Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, true. Yeah, I've got more subscribers and so do you guys, right? That's not good, you know? Unless it's in the millions.
And we're by no means a huge YouTube channel either. I mean, we're decent size, but not, we're not even on the blip
It's all objective at the end of the day, isn't it? But I mean, well, you know, it's all subjective. Sorry, should I say at the end of the day? But subjectively, that's bad. Like, there's no way you can look at that, even as a hardcore, Disney Star Wars lover, and go, that's great. Like, you just can't. Surely you'd want more for your franchise that you love so much. That's atrocious. That's not good.
Yeah, and Emilio Magil, if I'm saying that right, says, will you guys read and review the High Republic novels? It doesn't sound like anybody's going to read them.
I can answer that. No way.
No, I wouldn't. And this is something that, like, Andre would have to make me do, kicking and fucking screaming.
You like, I can make you watch Star Trek Discovery, and I feel guilty even for that. And that's something you just have to passively watch. But actually read this stuff, no, no way.
Yeah, that's not good. I don't understand why they thought that was something good to brag about.
The funny thing, though, is the ones that did that is that they didn't brag themselves, but they had Bleeding Cool, which of course is a publication of a certain notoriety in our circles, and they were the ones doing the bragging for them. Like, 100,000. Oh, no, that's nothing. It's 200,000. And of course, these are things that are just ordered. It's not 200,000 people that have ordered these things. Those are like 200 things that go out to stores, and they're non-refundable. So yeah, good luck on those. There. And then in their article, they even highlighted that, this and this limited cover went for so and so much on eBay, as if that was some kind of indication of demand. That's only an indication of, you have some bitter ender collectors out there that must have every single limited edition cover there is, and they are the ones that are going to be the last ones there when the comic book industry once and for all collapses. So and also about the numbers, there's two things that I would like to point out. When Conan the Barbarian first went back to Marvel, that also had 100,000 issues shipped. So you're basically comparing Star Wars, the biggest franchise there ever was,
to a niche franchise,
with something as niche as Conan. And then to put it further into perspective, Mr. H, you mentioned to begin with that it would be something to brag about if it was in the millions.
Yeah.
Well, when Disney first acquired Star Wars and Marvel first published their first modern-day Star Wars comic book, that shipped 1 million copies. Not sold 1 million copies to customers, but it shipped 1 million copies, and I'm sure it sold a great many to customers as well. That's 5 times as many as this super high Republic initiative, which comes at the time when, by all metrics, Star Wars should be in a better place than it was when Disney acquired it, which obviously isn't the thing. But I think that most people see through this. They see what this is, and they maybe aren't that interested.
And like Darren Gatewood says here, the pre-orders are most likely retail store orders. That's true. And like I was joking, but then you also have the Scholastic shit. That's how they move a lot of books. An even number like this does not sound like actual sales to me. I mean, of course, they probably just throw up whatever random number.
They're not. Like, they've rounded up for one thing, and on top of that, it's also, as you say, it's to retailers, it's to Scholastic. Why Scholastic would force that upon anyone is beyond me, but
Scholastic has single-handedly kept the comic book industry alive for like the last 20 years.
Not only have they kept it alive, they've kept it on life support, rather, because
that's better.
They only pick up the worst of titles, and they are the ones that then motivate more such titles to be made, hence spiraling the whole industry into the graveyard.
Yeah. I mean, look, and we've been making fun of these characters since they were announced.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make fun of the characters. Can you bring them up on screen?
Sure. Let me give you a second.
Because the designs for those that looked like something that came straight out of, what was it, Marvel's latest iteration of the New Warriors, with Safe Space and Snowflake and Trailblazer and all of that. So yeah,
all right,
fun stuff there.
What I got here, I tell you, we're gonna go backwards on this because we're gonna save the best for last. We got the official StarWars.com deal here, like we were looking at just before. Here's the phases, yay! And then we can look at this book. Who cares?
The edge of balance. Surely, if you're on the edge of balance, you're balancing.
Yeah, that's not
kind of.
Yeah.
Race to Crash. That looks like some bad fucking Disney cartoon.
Is that Rose Tico back? Is she back? Is that Rose Tico?
No, I don't think that's Rose Tico. I think that's the what's his face, that one weird dude.
I could have swore that was I thought it was a woman too. I thought those were like two stunning and brave ladies.
No, that's a guy. It might be a they them. I don't know. Oh, and they got little gremlins too for some reason, just because they want to try and get everybody on board.
You gotta get some kid money. Come on now.
Yeah, this art is not bad. Like some people are pointing out,
one of them
that
art looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, but like the art's not representative of what really this. I mean,
the monster of Temple Peak.
Yeah, and here we go. We got Ram Jamaram. This is the one that we were confusing the genitals of.
Sorry, what's that name?
We were confusing this person's genitals. We thought there was a guy, or we thought it was a woman, and it's.
I also thought it was a woman until someone told me. Until I read that. Oh, this is a he. Are you sure about that? But evidently,
yeah. I don't know if it's somebody identifying or if it's an actual.
Well, actually,
it
could be someone that identifies as a he, because it's all about representation. So yeah, could be just identifying. Yeah.
And then this one, everybody's pretty convinced where this name came from. For those who obviously have heard, you can see it in the chat already. Everybody's doing it. The famous song "Black Betty" is by a group called Ram Jam, and we've all kind of convinced that that's where they got this name. There's no, it's just that lame. There's no other way. And then you're moving on, and you've got Ty Yorick, which that's saying sounds
from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That literally looks like something that belongs on. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's atrocious art. That really is bad art.
It's pretty generic looking for sure. Like you said, something out of Lord of the Rings or World of Warcraft or something. Next, here's the little Bond Brax, the little gremlins.
Right. I mean, they literally look like rip-offs of actual gremlins.
Just hairy gremlins with tails.
God, that's
Yeah.
that's a joke, isn't it?
And then we got the piece of resistance.
This is the
right
Matthew
here.
McConaughey character.
This is
isn't it?
all right. We got Leo Giassi. Now, our
Right.
friends over at Echo Base Network kind of broke this down last night, and it was hilarious. Because Coach over there is a history teacher, and he was talking about Pope Leo the 10th. Well, it turns out Pope Leo the 10th, beyond being a complete and utter nightmare, was gay. So if you rearrange these letters a little bit, it says Leo X is gay.
Ha. That's funny.
Yeah, and he was like notoriously one of the worst popes ever. So like, yeah, like anyway, so here we go. That's the High Republic thus far. And then of course they left out Avar Chris for some reason, and a couple of the other characters here on the official Star Wars page, even though that was a character I think all the characters we'd already seen before were left out. But yeah, so we got to look at the new characters. We got to sit there and talk, sit there and sniff their own farts for like an hour. And then some idiot at the end, I can't remember which member of the crew was, flashed a Vulcan symbol as they were leaving, which caught everybody's attention. And it was just like,
wow. What a way to just prove everyone's point, right? That these people don't know or even like the property that they're working on. Like, Christ alive, man.
Yeah,
it honestly makes me wonder, the people that are doing this, like are they that unskilled, or are they skilled people that genuinely are like just having a go? They're like, ha 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 ha, look what we can do. I mean, like for instance, the guys that created He-Man back in the day. I mean, some of those characters, like Snout Spout and Stinkor and all the different kinds of men. They were created on a Friday night when they were out drunk and they had smoked some weed, and that's when they got some of their ideas for the most out there characters.
Yeah. Or a better example is Playmates. They literally had to where if you could create one of the bad guys, you got the profits of the character. So that's where all those really crappy fucking bad guys came from, the Ninja Turtles toys that nobody ever bought, like Muckman and shit or whatever the hell it was, where it was like a pile of fucking garbage and shit. Like, yeah.
So, but like this, after seeing like the images of this writer's room and seeing the videos and interviews with them, I don't think that they're smart enough to actually go out and drink and have fun and do this just to troll. I think that they're completely inept or they really hate Star Wars that much.
You know what this is, though? This is a distraction for the KK clan. This is something that they'll be able to fucking piss around with. It's not going to be able to really affect anything major. It'll keep them busy for a while Favreau and all those guys are off doing real Star Wars stuff.
Exactly. And it'll give us something to point and laugh at. So, oh, hey, Echo Base Network's in the chat.
They're in the chat, and they dropped their video this morning. So if you want a more explained version of that story that I just told, check it out. Coach breaks it down pretty well. So, yeah, it just made us laugh like crazy last night. Leo X is gay.
Jesus.
Well, it just shows you the mindset of these people, too. And I hate to use the term "these people" in quotations, but it's gotten to that point where it's like, no, you almost want to separate yourself from this group thing because it's like these people are insane. They're fucking insane. And they're obsessed with just, the color of somebody's skin, what's between their legs, their sexual preference.
But didn't if you got, a ding-a-lang or an axe wound, I mean, that's what matters. Did you not know that? That's really important.
It does now.
It's in children's fiction. That is really important.
Yeah, that's the part that bothers me the most. Is like, why are we so obsessed with this shit? Not only in general, but just especially in stuff that quote unquote they keep saying is for kids. Someone,
Bear in the Wild says, "An axe what? An axe wound." It's a term for a pasty. Some words I've got to be careful of saying on live stream. Ank's wound works quite nicely.
Yeah. It's yeah, we can leave it at that. But the writers of this evidently did not. So yeah, it's like a parody. I mean, like I don't think that the guys behind Robot Chicken or South Park would be able to come up with a better parody if they tried.
No, and that's where like the same thing with like Social Justice Warriors. It was like you guys are having, you guys are really like goofing, right? Like this can't be real. And that's what I look at with this. And it's the same thing. It's like, and I can almost see the wheels spinning in the EU fans' heads going like, why would you? And of course they have been since this was announced. It's like, okay, so you take something like, the Old Republic, which is very well known, and you add the High Republic to it. And instead of it being X amount of 1,000 years out, it's only 1,000 years out. And that way, of course, so they can also sully Yoda in the process, of course.
Yeah, of course. He's not going to get away unscathed. But the beauty is that no one is going to read it. No one's going to care. No one's going to know what happens to him because whatever bullcrap that they write, like the first thing is what's going to sell the most. So this thing right here, it shipped 200,000 copies. Of those, I don't know, 40,000 will ever be read by paying consumers, and they'll only be read there. And it's not going to make its way on screen or anything like that. It's like normies will never have any idea of what they're doing, or how Yoda is going to be screwed with, or how they're going to try to. Is it only
200 years? Okay, I don't care. Sorry,
who cares? Who cares? That's like the point. Who cares? It's some funny thing in the comics and in the books that not even comic book readers for the most part care about. I think. I know because I read some of the Star Wars comics every now and a while, like the Darth Vader comics. They're pretty decent. Dr. Aphra had its moments, but this, no way.
I need that clip from Family Guy. Like, oh my God, who the hell cares? Like so badly right now. Like no, like I said it. Like I have never seen so much to do over nothing in my life. I mean, did Disney?
There's nothing really there, is it? Like if they released like an epic game as well, then I'd be a little bit more like, oh, you're clearly putting some money into this.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all. Like this only goes to show that Kathleen Kennedy is on a budget. All the real money and all the real projects, as we've heard before, is going to Jon Favreau. That's where the money is. Like the most expensive thing that Kennedy gets to deal with right now is the Acolyte. And even that is like its own separate, isolated little thing that has to be shielded from the important stuff.
And evidently, Yellow Flash has already done a review of the first Marvel issue of TLDR. So, check that out. And how you doing, Yellow Flash? We've been trying to sync up and get him on one of these morning shows, but he's usually busy about this time. So one of these days. But no, I don't really care. I really don't care. And to me, if anything, if this is just to keep the KK faction busy for a while, then that's the best thing about it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, let's give them something to play with in the corner over there while the real people do the real work. But you know what I can't get over? That if someone had asked the three of us to just sit down for an hour, 2 hours or something, and try to make the worst possible parody of, like, if we were in the mind of someone that's pure ideologue and that wants to do an ideological bent on Star Wars, and we were told, like, just give us your best shot. What do you think that they would do? And go completely wild, go completely parody. I don't think that we would have been able to come up with something this bad even then.
Well, no, the thing that terrifies the Jedi the most is apparently a plant monster. What happened to the Sith?
Yeah, and then they made some big deal about this plant monster thing, and one of the artists or one of the authors was even like boasting about the fact that she gets to kill all the characters, and it's like, okay, first of all, let's just give away what's going to happen. Second of all, the fact that you're relishing in that doesn't bode well for these characters. That means you don't give a shit about them.
Well, it doesn't mean you wrote very good characters.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like it means you obviously don't care about anything about them. So,
But
watch me.
guys, let's not forget that plants are super dangerous. I mean, have we all forgotten about Star Trek Picard and the tulips in space?
Oh God, yes.
You had to fucking
I'd
remind
almost
me.
forgotten, but thanks. Yeah.
That was like the first thing that came to my mind. It's like, oh, this plant is super dangerous. I'm like, that's funny.
You wonder
Just
why I'm
like in
obsessed
Star
with
Trek
Cobra
Picard.
Kai.
I mean, what's with these people and plants?
Yeah,
I thought they were
I guess
supposed to be
maybe it's
environmentalists.
But again, maybe that's what it's pushing. I guess maybe it is. I mean, I don't know. I'm just maybe it's a form of, you know, I don't know, subversive sort of preaching. Like I don't know. I can't imagine what other reason you would have for making a plant.
Yeah, they're subverting my intelligence.
Well, yeah, but why else would a plant be the natural enemy of the Jedi? Like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's yeah.
The thing they fear the most is what they are. That's what they say.
Well, they're all vegetarians and vegans. Well, maybe they eat everything plant-based because they hate them. I don't know.
I don't know.
We've seen Yoda. He ate some like chorizo stick thing, didn't we? So
yeah, but Yoda seemed like he just eat just about anything. Same thing with Baby Yoda. So
true. Well, we have seen Baby Yoda.
It's like I wonder what's in that stew he feeds Luke. He probably put some weird shit in there, and he's probably laughing about it. He could have took a big old steaming, like just dumped right in the pot and made him eat it for all we know.
Anyway, this is going to be even more fun than snowflake and space, and yeah. Is that even coming out, by the way? Or is that,
that got canceled. Well, as far as I know, it got canceled. I don't think they officially canceled it.
They just unofficially
disappeared. Yeah,
let it never happen again. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Amazon's like orders or whatever for the books disappeared, and then it was still like showing as for like a pre-order for digital, I think, and then it disappeared or something like that, or vice versa. Yeah. But we do have some super chats I think we should catch up on.
Yeah, we do. Let's catch up on some super chats and hear what you all have to say in the comments, because we've been rattling on with what we think, but let's hear what you all think, because this should be funny. Just give me 1 second to get to where we were, and here we were.
While you're looking there, Anthony Vogel's like, this is going to end up like The Happening with Mark Wahlberg. The plants are angry. So true. So true.
Yeah. So you're a plant. What's up with that? Yeah, I can't wait for the Jedi to make sentences like that. Mills is the next one for 14 South African rounds. Thanks so much. Saying Quest is a 25-page kids book. Oh my god! Even worse than so. Like they can't even write a proper book. It has to do a 25-page kids book. That's what we're dealing with here. That's what, like, a year of work for a 25-page kids book. She's like, oh my god, yeah. And Cedric,
it might be the most nuanced kids book you've ever seen in your life. You know,
they've
got to subtly weave this narrative of a gender. I mean, come on.
Did you say agenda or a gender?
Well, I mean, a bit of both.
One does not need to rule out the other.
Exactly.
Unreal.
Like I think I'd rather have Chopper Reed's children's book. Seriously, if someone has it, then feel free to send it to me.
Up with it's not. Yeah. So.
And Cedric Taylor 08 says it's called Space Command. Well, Crispy Critters says, High Republic, it's self-insert fanfics. Yeah, this is like the second worst level of self-insertion since Ray for one, and I Am Not Starfire for the other.
Oh, that is so bad.
Oh, God. You had to remind me of that shit, Andre.
Well, this is all connected, isn't it?
I don't want to think about that. That's like some really strange porno I don't want to think about. Anyway, before we get to the next super chat, Simon wants to know what we think about the mess surrounding the announcement of Tanya Roberts' death, subsequent retraction, and then second announcement of her death.
I mean, what
That's
a joke.
called the media, folks. They like to jump the gun.
Yeah,
Just a
how
big old
how
joke.
embarrassing is that when you have to like, oh no, we are very sad to announce the sad passing off, and then next news. Oh, sorry, we were just joking. She's still with us.
Well, and you know what's
Everyone
weird,
makes the retraction halfway, and then comes the update. No, actually, now it's for real.
You know what's even weirder than that? Because I've worked in like media and certain other areas, so I kind of know stupid in a printing press and all that kind of shit. They literally have like backup things like ready, at least, and now it's all digital. But back in like they actually had like stampers and all that shit ready just to shove in whatever they had to for like the president, certain other celebrities, and other things. Like the moment they die, they are ready to print the paper.
Jesus.
I know it's fucking just weird and morbid, but it's fucking true. Like this, anyway. Like that's the media for you, and that'll get us into our Batman conversation later. I think a little bit.
Absolutely, something like that actually happened with Julie Strain last year. She was also like announced prematurely dead by her management. Like last fall or something. And then they had to retract that too. That now she's still with us, but she might as well not have been. So
you'd be surprised, Cracker Jack. There's even stuff ready for the end of the world, which makes I know absolutely no sense. But believe me,
it only goes to show how much thought goes into actually reflecting reality.
I shit you not. There's a doomsday thing for like if stuff was to happen. Like the national broadcasting service takes over, and then there's this final end of world message that will happen. It's fucking weird, dude. Anyway.
Yeah, and yeah, it's weird. There's plenty of weird stuff in the media, and we'll get back to some of it later on. But right now, let's get back to the super chats. Matt Giles says for £10, why do you think Disney hasn't put its foot down and said no to these so obviously bad ideas? Do they hate money? Mr. H, do Disney hate money?
Sorry, I didn't hear the whole question. Because
why haven't Disney shut down this? Why haven't Disney shut this down?
Star Wars in general.
Yeah, all of these really bad woke things that cost them a fortune. Do they hate money?
Well, look, I mean that's the age-old question, isn't it? Because the whole kind of get woke, go broke situation seems to be ringing true more and more. But it really is a tricky one. It is the age-old question: why? Why do they keep doing this? I would imagine this one in particular add some kind of credence to the theory, of the multiple factions and the like. I don't see why it wouldn't. You've got people making things which is definitely going to prove profitable if it hasn't already, which is The Mandalorian and the spin-off shows, and then you've got someone just trying to keep Kathleen Kennedy happy by saying, "Hey, you can have this piece of crap if you want, love, but you're not having anything else."
No, I think he's right here. They're more worried about social justice currency right now, or woke points, as we've been calling them. Like we say, don't be confused or fooled with this being some kind of trend or a natural trend, at least. Like this is all like this is them pushing an agenda through our media, through the things that we love, and they're trying to teach us a lesson. This is like them trying to slip a carrot into a Big Mac.
But I don't see why.
They feel like they need to teach us because they're better than us, they think.
Ugh.
Yeah, there is absolutely a point to that. Absolutely a point to that. So yeah, no, Disney they are in a position where they now have come to learn money, and there are so many people that are ideologues around them and in their circles and in the media and everything, that if they were to suddenly be instantly red-pilled, then they would be they would get so much flack on Twitter and in the entertainment media that it would look really, really bad for them and for their investors, that I don't think that they can afford to discard it completely. But at the same time, they're trying to find a balance between all of that and storytelling. And that's what we see with The Mandalorian and the different factions. And Mills pointed out that this is something of a test for Kennedy. And yeah, it could be. It could be that this is a way of Kennedy saying, like, look, this is my project. Look how amazingly popular this is. Everyone on Twitter loves it. Let's do this in the movies too.
Yeah, their idea of fixing the world is just watching the world burn, basically.
Yeah. Well, first you have to burn down. First, you have to burn down everything that we have right now, and the fixing it, that comes later, and we don't have any clear ideas for that, but we'll do something better. It's kind of like, yeah.
No, it's almost ironic. It's like that bit at the end of Thor Ragnarok where it's like, well, as long as you have a foundation, you can still build upon it, and then it's like, well, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's what they want. That's literally what they want. They want it all gone, and they want to rebuild it all up in their image.
Yeah.
And their image is a bunch of weird nonsense, if you ask me. It's forcing a point whatever percent of the population onto the rest of the population, and it gets ridiculous at times. I have nothing against anybody's lifestyles. I don't care. As long as you ain't diddling kids or hurting nobody, I don't give a shit what you do with your free time
or dogs,
privacy of your, or yeah, animals, yeah, any living thing. Let's put it that way. Like, like other than that, I don't care. I don't care. But that doesn't mean you need to bring it into every single goddamn TV show. Like, it has literally made Star Trek Discovery to the point where, I mean, when I talk about the kicking and screaming with Andre, it's almost literal now when it comes to Discovery. I avoid it like a kid avoids going to the dentist. I hate this fucking show, and it's gotten so unbearable.
I'm so glad I stopped watching it.
You, Mr. H, and there's a reason. I don't think Andre in his own, it was fun for a few episodes, but I don't even think anybody could put somebody through that torture anymore. It is literal torture.
No, I just want to see his reaction. That was all. I didn't want him to come and do it regularly. I just wanted hey, watch this so we can laugh at your reaction. That was my whole goal with that. I'm thinking this is going to be hilarious, which it was. So yeah, that was pretty fun. But yeah. But anyway, we'll get back to Star Trek in due course. We still have a couple of episodes to catch up on, Tom, and it's no easier for me. I dread it too, but it must be done. Yeah,
and Simon, they're raising Netflix's prices everywhere. So,
I can tell you why. That's because Netflix have loads of gearing, meaning they have loads of loans and they need more money. That's why they are the biggest streaming service, and they earn loads and loads and loads of money, but they also have loads and loads and loads of expenses. So they want to try to make that balance a little bit better for them. And they figure that, hey, now you're addicted. You're not going to quit Netflix. So we're just going to charge you a little bit more that you can part with. It's as simple as that. But let's get back to some more super chats. Frank Harris says, a Rian Johnson trilogy could definitely kill Star Wars, and that's why it will never happen. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That probably could do the trick.
Did you see everyone going absolutely mental on Twitter, though, because he retweeted someone saying a Thrawn trilogy? You not see this?
Yeah, I did not see that, no. But I can
breaking news!
That,
breaking news, ladies and gents. Basically, it's being posited that Rian Johnson's trilogy is going to be the Thrawn. Basically, it's going to be Thrawn because he retweeted something about. I mean, look, it's probably nonsense, but
yeah, I was going to say that's funny.
He did do this. He did retweet it.
That sounds like him trolling, which he is prone to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it made everyone go mental on Twitter, which was quite comical. So I did enjoy watching that.
Yeah, because what my thinking is that he's probably thinks that you guys, because of your reaction, I didn't get my Star Wars trilogy. So now at least I'm going to destroy your hope.
Yeah, there you go. You found it.
Yeah. I think it's as simple as that. And Mills says again, for 35 South African rands, thanks so much. Is there a possibility they began de-wokeifying this after negative fan reaction last year? This being why
High
they
Republic?
postponed it for 6 months.
No.
High Republic. If it's de-wokeified now, I'd hate to think what it was like before.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think the only reason it got delayed is because they actually thought this shit would be over by now.
Yes, it would all be to do with the pandemic. I mean, there's a lot of logistical issues which are causing problems for many companies outside of obviously the main shutdown which happened, but just logistics, like actually moving physical things around
and having bookstores open and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like it would all be to do with that.
For instance, in the UK, I very much doubt that the bookstore is like essential business or essential industry.
No, everything's closed in the UK. You can't even get takeout alcohol. It's a joke. So, yeah. It's a massive joke.
So yeah, they waited for nothing. If that's the thing, because this ain't getting any better anytime soon.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't bother releasing it before Christmas. You'd think that they would have announced it for Christmas at the very least, because people, Granny, unaware that Star Wars sucks, but knowing that you like Star Wars,
little Billy,
I'll get you that little Timmy Tom. But yeah, it is interesting that they, have done it now in the new year. Like, why? Like, odd timing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is just from a marketing standpoint, it's a bit of an odd timing thing.
Well, maybe they wanted to that this came from higher up, that they didn't want to confuse the branding with the Mandalorian, that they wanted the Mandalorian to run its course before they go into the next thing. And then in March, I think we found out. Then you have the Bad Batch, and they only want focus on one event at the time, and this is the time frame between the Mandalorian and the Bad Batch.
Because I tell you what, if you're looking at it objectively from a marketing standpoint, they've actually put it here to die. Like it's a dumping ground at the moment between things that people are looking forward to. You know how we always say that a certain month, it used to be a certain month of movie-going theatre experience was
used to be February
for a bad. Yeah, but my point is that obviously, that was between other things that were quite big. This is the same thing here. The principle is the same, is that they're doing it now as a dumping ground to let it just fizzle out. That's genuinely what it seems like anyway, just from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know how much Disney is behind this stupid initiative. So that absolutely could be something to it.
It just feels to me like it's where these people can do the least damage. You know what I mean? Like, it really does. It feels just like a pet project to keep all these idiots busy.
Which is fine. I'd much rather have them busy with this than doing some actual damage.
Yeah, go twiddle your dick in the corner, right? Go piss off with that.
Is there any way that we're getting a Rian Johnson trilogy? Oh, fuck no. And not only that, it's the last thing it's going to be is a Thrawn trilogy, because we already know where Thrawn's going to be.
You never know.
No. Thrawn is off limits to Kathleen Kennedy.
That's
for
saying.
Certain. Yeah,
I hope so.
And moving on, Jaleel Khan. Yeah.
I was just saying, the latest rumors going around is that Robert Downey Jr. is being eyeballed to play the part. Well, if that's the case, that fits right in line with the whole, we're going to bring Marvel over to Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing so far, and
he would make an atrocious Thrawn.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't think they're looking at him for that character. If they're looking to bring him into Star Wars, it's something completely different, I bet.
Yeah, I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised to see him show up and break the internet, but not as that. I heard another casting rumor, which I think is much more likely.
I see Robert probably doing a voice of an alien, kind of like how John Leguizamo did. But anyway, sorry, Andre, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think that what's his name, Morten Mikkelsen, the brother of Mats Mikkelsen, the one who looks like Putin, and he played like the ersatz Putin in House of Cards. He could be a magnificent Thrawn.
Yeah, there's some pretty good choices that I would go with
Yeah.
definitely before RDJ.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's move on with the super chats. Yalil Kavas, I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. He sent us $20. Thank you so much. And he says, "What's up, gentlemen? This is support a long time coming. I appreciate your content. Not to be out of line on your show, but F Disney Star Wars. You all have a good day." Well, thank you. That's most appreciated. We appreciate any support and that you like the content. And Mace Windu himself also sent us £5 saying, "I sense a plot to destroy classic Star Wars. The dark side of the Force surrounds Kay Kennedy."
Yeah.
And Master Clockwork says, "Since it was announced Disney was acquiring Star Wars, the fans have begged and pleaded for more of the old Republic. Instead, they gave us this dritt." That's actually pretty funny. Dritt is Norwegian for shit. So said, instead they gave us this shit.
Yes, now I know some Norwegian swear words.
Yeah.
They're always the first to learn from any.
Yeah, exactly.
Any
So
language,
I have to remember that. Instead, they gave us this dritt. That's fantastic.
All right.
Yeah, that's what Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars is right now. So now you know what you can tell any other Norwegian you might encounter. What you think of it, Dom. So, and 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser says, "Marvel is playing a hold my beer to see who can out-ugly the other on the art side." Yeah, if you're referring to Marvel Comics, absolutely. I mean, like, we've had this art right here, and we have had recent pieces of Captain Marvel, and there's obviously, like, that whole New Mutants thing. There's many in Marvel that aren't actually doing a substantial thing to further the comic book industry, let's say.
Well, and I think the big side of Marvel, have you noticed an absence of Captain Marvel outside of the announcement of Captain Marvel 2? There was that big announcement for the Disneyland Marvel Academy deal, and it looks awfully spiderific.
Yeah, that's probably not a coincidence.
No.
And moving on from there, Dr. Chico says, "This is what sunk the sequels. Pointless box ticking with no substance. Finn could have just died in the first movie with how hard they dropped him." Yeah, this is true.
Well, Poe was supposed to die originally.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Well,
that's why he pretty much has nothing to do for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And Douglas A. Burton says for $20, thank you so much, "These people are comically incompetent. Just a setting, High Republic, a civilization at the height of prosperity. Where's the conflict? Star Wars ensured conflict. The Clone Wars ensured conflict. I guarantee failure." Probably. Yeah. And Marcus A. says he is the Diet Coke Han Solo, HRC.
I wouldn't even go that far. More like the soy Han Solo.
Yeah. And Roger Haynes says sends a thumbs up super sticker, so thanks for that. And Fook Google 2 says plants have no gender or ethnicity.
Yeah, that's problematic.
Yeah. While Mihon says for 20 Swedish krona, tack så mycket, "Send Conan to Lucasfilm to clean out the house." Yeah, it could certainly be needed. And Joseph Binevitz says for $9.99, thank you, "Just give the KK Club a spot in the corner of the office. Let them watch the old episodes of Sigmund the Sea Monster with helmets on their heads with clapping hands."
Oh.
And with that, we are caught up sufficiently that I think we can move on to the next topic. What shall we do first? Batman or Doctor Who?
Well, let's start with the Doctor Who business because Mr. H, out of all of us here, you've talked about this the most on your channel, I think. We don't have to dwell on this too long, but this kind of all started from a story in the Mirror, if I'm not mistaken, that Jodie Whittaker was leaving.
So Well, no. The headline is that Jodie Whittaker is leaving, but this actually started a while back, actually, and has started and has been continuing between old Doctor Who fans and various showrunners. I can't remember what the guy's name is. Vinay Patel, I think the chap's name is. So there's been an ongoing feud between showrunners, fans on Twitter, things like that, which a lot of people actually don't understand, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, the showrunner can say what he likes. He actually can't. He's not allowed, because the BBC is funded by the UK populace via the TV license. They actually do have to sign contracts to say that they can't act in a certain fashion. So it is technically against what they are supposed to be doing. So that sort of came to a pretty big head, and then there was this rumor doing the rounds that Jodie Whittaker was being implored to leave by her agent, saying, you need to get out of there. It's going downhill. It's super bad. Yeah, not good. Like, go away, basically. Like, leave. And then now I think it was either the Mirror or the Mail. I can't remember which, but they then posited an exclusive saying, hey, we hear that Jodie Whittaker's gone now, after this final season. This will be her final season, which isn't a massive surprise, because it is actually what they tend to do. They tend to leave after 3 years, and this is the third season, third year. So it falls in line with that anyway. But then the interesting thing is, and again, take it all with a pinch of salt and take that into account, the fact that they do normally leave anyway, and it's not actually that out of the norm. But the Variety reached out to the BBC, and they said, we refuse to comment. So it wasn't that they just didn't comment. They actually went out of their way to say, we won't be commenting on this, which at the end of the day, like, if you're not going to comment on something like that, but you're taking the time to reply, it in the grand scheme of things, like, you guys will be aware of this as well. When it's that kind of reply from, a studio, corporation, that sort of thing, it's kind of an admission at that point. And you can kind of take it as a given. And then that's basically where we're at now, is that she's rumored to leave. The BBC are commenting on it, but saying that they refuse to comment on it, which is just completely nonsensical anyway. And then obviously the problem with that is that obviously it throws out the questions of, well, good old Chimballs is going to be continuing, who is the man who has basically brought it down on its knees at this point in time, and everyone hates it, and that's why. So him being remaining on board doesn't add any hope for the future at all. And then not only that is then there's the question of, and it did the rounds on various UK media, mainstream media, and like talk shows and things like that, was like, well, should Doctor Who be played now by a male? Which ultimately that's not going to happen. They've already set it up for further women, which is fine, if that was going to be the natural flow of things. If it was a natural flow that you went to a woman and you did it for good reasons rather than a gender, then that's fine. Keep it as a woman and change it and do whatever. But the fact that they changed it for a gender's sake, it means that they won't grapple it away anytime soon. So there you go.
Yeah, there we just answered your question, Matt Giles, who asked, do you think they'll double down and have another lady or lady boy play the Doctor? And there you go. That certainly sounds like it's going to be one of the two, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no way they're going to bring a guy in now, especially a white guy anyway.
No, like, this is the thing, is that the BBC is notorious for not representing the British populace at all in basically no way, shape or form these days. So no, it won't be that. And like I say, like, ultimately, having women, well, in the UK they're now called BAME. I don't know if that's a term that's reached your shores yet. black and ethnic minority or something like that. I can't remember. Yeah, honestly, this is what they're calling people all over the bloody place. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, so having people like that in roles, like, who cares? Like, that's really not a big problem at all. But it's the reasoning behind which you put them in the role, which then strong arms you in future because it's ideological. That's the thing. It's an ideological reason. So if that is the case, and that's the reason why they put them in the role, then, well, ideologically, they are opposed to removing them from the role once they're there. So yeah. And that's what you need to keep in mind, is that, like, any casting choice is fine. Like, no one cares. Literally, no one gives a crap. But it's when it's an ideologically forced or motivated casting choice that's
or the
where
writing.
problem
Yeah,
lies. Yeah, and ultimately the writing sucks because of Chimballs. That's terrible, bad. Like, he sucks, and then, you've still got the bad showrunners on board, picking fights with people on Twitter. Like, it's a real bad look, especially when the British populace pays for their wages. And yes, there's an argument to be made for the fact that it's made by a BBC Studios, which is then sold, abroad and has part funding from selling products and things like that. But ultimately, the BBC is still funded by the British populace via effectively
right.
tax.
That's how it's a little different. That. Yeah, that's how it's a little different than here, at least.
Yes.
But no, like Crispy Critters, Jodie's a decent actress, just a bad doctor. And that's kind of basically what Mr. H is saying. Like, the actor themselves, isn't the problem. It's the
writing and the
exactly.
Ideological focus behind stuff. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's the issue. You don't look at Red Dwarf and go, oh, well, there's a was it Craig Charles? You don't look at Red Dwarf and go, oh, Craig Charles is there. What a they put him there for woke points. That's not why you look at that. Doesn't cross anyone's mind when you watch Red Dwarf. You watch Red Dwarf.
No, he's as Scouser as it gets.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah, exactly. But you look at the new, and this is what's really important. As a good example is, then you look at something like that, and then you look at the new, newer shows, and you go, well, clearly there's a difference, like, very clearly, like how everything's written, the focus and the force of things. I don't think once his color came up in Red Dwarf. I could be wrong, but I
don't recall so either. I haven't seen the most recent couple of seasons or series, but up until that, no, never, not once. Complete non-issue, as it well should be. Because again, he's just like a working slob Scouser. That's it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the point, isn't it? Like, no non-ideologically focused casting was done there. So anyway, there you go. That's sort of some interesting stuff.
Well, and that's the thing, is any good writing and good characters can overtake bad acting any day. Like, that's the thing. Because, I mean, I could even argue a few people in, like, Cobra Kai aren't the best actors, but it's the great writing and all that kind of stuff that really elevates it all. Because, there's a specific character that everybody's always like, oh, I hate Sam. It's like, well, do you hate the character or do you hate the actress? And 9 times out of 10, it's generally they just hate the character, because it's like, well, good, that's how you're supposed to feel the first few seasons. The character has an arc, but as far as, like, the actress, well, it's like, well, then I can't help you there. It's like, she's a young actress. She's still learning. What can I say? I'm not making excuses for them. But yeah. As far as, like, Jodie Whittaker goes, I have nothing to compare in otherwise. It's kind of the same thing with me and Sonequa Martin Green. I've never even seen her in The Walking Dead, so I can't really say if she's a good actress or not. But I do know some of the other actors on that show. And, Doug Jones does everything he can with what he's given.
You're talking about Discovery.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, like... he's really good. Like, he makes the highlights of that show is whenever he's on screen. So you can absolutely have a really, really bad product, but you can still tell that, okay, this is a bad thing, but that guy or that gal is really, really good in it. And I don't know if you get that for Whittaker.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, neither can I. Neither can I.
But I know we had like one or two more super chats that had to do with.
Yeah, we have a couple of more on this particular topic. Let's see if we can still get it on the screen.
Other ones too, yeah.
Matt Giles says this is why the BBC is heading for defunding. They've already lost their woke bus. Then I'm going to go back to a couple of older super chats.
Well, they're one step ahead of us then.
Yeah. I won't be able to read them up on screen, so you'll have to listen very carefully because I shall say it only once.
The sultry sounds of Andre's voice.
Yeah. Cedric Taylor 08 wonders what will happen to the Picard show if he dies in mid-season. Who carries on? That's a good question, isn't it?
There has already been some random rumors going around. Sorry, Andre, that they're thinking about recasting him. Have you heard anything, Mr. H?
Casting who? Sorry,
Patrick Stewart and Picard.
What happens if he dies in the middle of filming?
I just heard that random rumor, but it makes sense. I mean, you've got the golem there. Surely, I'm sure it's a shape-shifting golem. Like, I'm sure, must be.
Yeah, he can do a regeneration, and suddenly he just conveniently change his appearance.
Or maybe you get Tom Hardy in there, shave his head.
I was just going to say, and he's Tom Hardy now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. Can you imagine?
I was like, yeah. It was like so ridiculous that they didn't do that towards the end of season 1. Was they had to do that stupid thing. And
should have just let him die.
That would have been better. Well, actually, they did. Like, this isn't even Picard. Picard is dead.
Yeah, that's the thing. They did actually let him die, didn't they? Like, he did actually die.
He's a fucking
artificial memories.
Yeah. So it's just a copy of him to make everyone else feel better. But the real Picard is dead and gone.
Ridiculous.
Stupid.
Yeah. What will happen to the Picard show if he dies? Well, who cares?
He is already dead.
Yeah. But it's a shame with Patrick Stewart if and when he is no longer with us. But for the show, I don't think anyone is going to care. Like, does that show even have any fans? Are there anyone who likes that ending?
I don't really think. See, that was the thing, is I don't even think Picard even got a lot of the major critics on board. But there
was a lot of people lambasting me for not liking it.
Really? Wow, that's just a Dreckies,
including the ending.
Yeah, no, genuinely, people defended it all the way, and I was just like, mate, what?
It had to be Dreckies then, because I didn't. That was one of the few. Yeah, we didn't get nearly as much.
Star Trek Discovery Trekkies.
Oh, they're just they're the people that will eat anything Star Trek. Period. And if you don't, they're the ones who go out there and go, but if you don't support this, we're going to lose Star Trek forever. It's like, yeah, that's not how it works. You hear that all.
Is that genuinely one of their arguments?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Very moronic.
It is.
It's a very real argument.
And then I'll just usually shoot back with, like when we lost Coke after New Coke, or McDonald's at that time, McDonald's shut down because the McLean failed. Yep.
Yeah, and if that were to happen, which it won't, would that be so much worse than what we have right now?
No, and that's the thing is, and that's where people get to the point where they're just like, you know what? No Trek would be better than shit Trek. Oh, and we got a new member of the High Republic. Gary is now officially a member of the High Republic, just so I thought that was kind of funny. I wonder if he's seen that yet. He would never dress like that, folks. I've seen him dress. He didn't dress like that.
Fun times.
But yeah, so more back on Jodie Whittaker here. I know we had a few more super chats on.
We have a couple of more. Douglas A. Burton says, these characters look like cartoon mascots on cereal boxes. I think you're being insulting to cartoon mascot.
Well, it has a very Disney-esque feel to most of the art, outside of the ones that look more realistic.
You mean apart from the designs?
Yeah, just the art in general feels very Disney-esque.
Yeah. And Matt Giles also wonders for 20 British pounds. Thank you so much. And he says, so is the Lucas Story Group separate from the writers of The Mandalorian? My understanding is mostly yes. You will recall that when one of the things that Kevin Feige did was that he actually fired the Marvel Story Group because he disagreed with them. And I think that the Lucasfilm Story Group has very little to do with The Mandalorian. They might give a note here or stuff, but that's pretty much it. What Favreau says goes. That's what I think.
And I mean, I get that feeling whenever I see him in interviews, especially when he's like, "Yeah, I asked Kathy not to talk about that, so we could keep it as a surprise." The way he says that isn't like like it would sound more like it was his choice.
Yeah, he's not like a lackey, by the way.
Exactly.
It sounds like he's very much in charge of what he is dealing with at this point in time.
Yeah, which to me almost sounds like, and I wouldn't say that Kathy's answering to him, but it's almost like he's got his own autonomy. Is that the word I'm looking for? To where it's just like, you do you do, and I'm going to be over here doing my thing.
Yeah.
It does seem like that, yeah. And the founder 865 wonders, when will the Discovery review be? You're going to wait until the season finale? Is the season finale tomorrow? Is that the season finale? I
think we either have one or two more episodes left. Yeah. We're
okay.
Very close, if not. I hope to God it's tomorrow.
Yeah. I think, Tom, have you seen them yet? The last two?
I watched the one where everybody went to that one planet and they changed species, but I have not watched the latest one to this point. But I heard it's really bad.
Yeah, I would. Okay, I think that
this is the one that I haven't watched. Is the one where she makes a phone call to her mom at the end and shit or whatever.
You're just speaking Latin to me right now because
exactly
the last two of them. Yeah. I think that the best we can hope for is maybe tomorrow at the earliest. Tomorrow. If I watch on sped up a little bit, maybe we can get to it tonight, depending on Tom. I haven't given you another video to burden you with yet, so
no, I could probably cram a fucking.
Yeah, we might be able to do it later tonight, or that would be later today, U.S. time. But today or tomorrow.
Tomorrow would work out better. We'll see. Yeah, because then we could probably do all the whatever 2 or 3 episodes we got to review at once.
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah, Jesus.
I really, honestly, at that last episode, I totally checked the fuck out mentally, dude. My brain shut down. I'm just like, nope. My brain's just like, I'm refusing to allow any more of this nonsense to enter. You can watch it, but I'm not retaining it. Fuck you.
You know what? That's actually funny because I'm unable to remember hardly anything that's happened in the season other than the last episode I saw. And that's now so long that I've forgotten that that was a long time ago.
Guys, you had to remind me. I forgot all about it.
Oh, you should have seen
what they did with the Guardian of Forever opening and the guy that was sat on that space station for years.
I remember your reaction to it. That was the only good thing.
It literally feels like it's been 1,000 years since we started watching this show. Yeah, exactly, Dr. Coffinails. My brain shut down in self-defense. That is the truth. The honest to God, I've never had it happen before, but I totally checked out mentally at that point. I don't even remember anything after. It was like a blur for about a half hour.
It's unbelievable. How can you have so unskilled writers working for Star Trek and Star Wars, the iteration of it? It boggles the mind.
Or put your mind on self-defense mode.
Yeah. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, if you want to know where this mentality leads society, read 1984. I wish they'd stop treating that novel like an instruction manual. Yeah, they kind of do. I'm sorry to say, but they do. Tiberius Monk says for $20, thank you so much. Regarding Star Wars, Bad Boys for Life and Bill and Ted Face the Music were films that embraced the past and introduced new characters successfully. Star Wars should use these films to understand how to move a franchise forward.
Yeah, Cobra Kai and Creed especially are ones that I are my go-tos. And after this last season of Cobra Kai, I've said it more in the last few days. It's like, why? What is everything else's excuse? What is wrong?
It's bad writers and, again, ideological agendas, isn't it? I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Well, I mean, Karate Kid, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but And I've had to preface every one of my reviews by saying I understand that the show is melodramatic soap opera teen drama stuff, right? And instead of feelings in hallways, we get people, karate in hallways. I totally get that, but I embrace it and I love it, and it gets me and I'm not alone. I'm not alone. That's the best part. So it's not just me. And I sit there and look at it. It's like, this is the fucking Karate Kid. How is it the best TV show on television right now is the sequel series to the Karate Kid, while Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, James Bond, all these other things are just languishing and dying off because why? Because fucking identity politics. That's why. Oh.
Yeah. Moving on from there, scruffy-looking nerf herder says, Mando has got me back into Star Wars. I've started watching Clone Wars. Oh, cool. And Comrade Commissar Yuri says, you hear apparently Matt Smith is to play Daemon Targaryen in Game of Thrones spin-off series House of the Dragon.
Yes, he tweeted a picture out.
Yeah, first I've heard of it and don't care.
I think a lot of people just shrugged that off. It didn't do the rounds nearly as much as I think HBO Max or HBO whatever was expecting, because like he tweeted an image out of the dragon and stuff like that, and literally no one cares.
Yeah, no, that's how successful season 8 of Game of Thrones was.
Yeah, it tanked the whole bloody show.
Yeah.
Franchise for future.
Whole franchise.
Well, that's the thing. Game of Thrones isn't like Star Wars or Star Trek or some of these other franchises we've been talking about because they've only had one. Like it's not like they've had the successful one or two and then the third one tanked or the fourth one tanked. You know what I mean? Like there was the first one and they fucked it up off the bat.
Yeah, they did. It was after a really good start, but it lost its way and then dropped the ball. Worse than any ball has been dropped before, almost. Yeah. And Nicholas Horton says, Disney Plus UK are also raising their price because of the new Disney Plus Star content rated for an older audience content coming this year. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Disney needs money, and they have a long and strong tradition for increasing prices to get it.
It was also really cheap in the UK, though. So
yeah. And Taker610 says, wait, so High Republic is not a stoner comedy? Yeah, it's hard to believe.
What's funny is I think when they first announced that crap, Rob and I banked for weeks on the whole Cheech and Chong and Star Wars bit, man. I know you're not a fan of that stuff, Andre, but that was
I haven't seen it. I still.
We would just go back and forth about what it would be like to have Cheech and Chong on like the Death Star, or in some other Star Wars situation, and it would just be them stoned.
Yeah.
Oh man, that kid's gonna blow up the Death Star. Let's get out of it. Shit like that. Yeah. Rob does his perfect spot on Cheech, so I can't. But
yeah, exactly. And scruffy-looking nerf herder says, doesn't Eddie Izzard identify as a trans lesbian? If they're doubling down, at least Eddie will be funny.
Yeah, I heard that. That's okay.
And Eric O'Sullivan says, for $25, we need to bring up Broadchurch's inherent misandry and how it imported over to Doctor Who. Any thoughts, Mr. H or Andre? Tom, have you seen? It's good, but in hindsight, what daddy, it hates men. Cheers, Slinte, skål, much love. So, Tom, Broadchurch, have you seen it?
No, I've heard of it, but no, I've not seen it yet. Sorry. Andre makes me watch crap like Star Trek Discovery, so I don't have time for anything else.
Yeah, so you don't have time to watch crap like Broadchurch.
No, I've not seen
Mr. H, what are your thoughts on Broadchurch?
No, I literally don't watch BBC stuff. I'm not interested.
I can't say.
Okay.
Sorry, your
last BBC thing I watched was that Dracula thing, and that let me down. So
yeah, I heard that went because didn't that start out really good and then it went like way off the rails or some shit?
No, well, opening episode they ask a man if he fornicated with Dracula. So I mean, it didn't really start out. It kind of went off the rails immediately, but.
Oh, okay.
The writing was okay for a time outside of these weird little bits, and then it absolutely shit the bed in the third episode. So yeah, like it was. I can see what people are saying, how it kind of really went off the rails. But yeah, it was kind of weird from the start, to be honest.
Okay, no, like because I like Dracula, and I was like, oh, I heard about that, and then I heard it was crap. So I'm like, oh, of course.
Well, there are many other better Draculas to spend your time on. So Tom, I'm not going to waste you or make you waste time watching that.
No, you should.
No,
you should.
Oh, God.
Now, as for BBC's Discworld in the Watch, there I make no promises. We may have to endure that. But
no, actually, what I was going to say is I have not watched anything that BBC has made, and God, I don't know how long now.
Oh, people are correcting me in the chat saying someone is saying it's Channel 5 and someone is saying it's ITV. Apparently, it's not BBC, but I don't watch mainstream.
Well, it might as well have been then, wouldn't it? With when like the first thing is like, have you done the dirty with Dracula, fellow man? If that's the beginning, it might as well have been.
Oh no, they're saying Broadchurch. Dracula was BBC for sure. They're saying Broadchurch.
Oh, okay, Broadchurch.
It's like terrestrial.
Yeah, we were
TV,
talking about.
Tend to watch.
Yeah, well, that too might as well have been. As for me, gave it a chance. I was not taken with it.
Like New BI says, what's the difference?
Yeah. Well, it's a matter of the taxpayer funding. That's
the interesting side of that I find very kind of weird in how they get away with it. Because I can't imagine like Star Trek being funded by the government and getting away with this shit. Well, actually, I do. Never mind. I take that back.
Yeah, you better. So, yeah. And we're almost caught up. The Festman93 says, why can't more shows be like Cobra Kai and The Mandalorian?
Here.
And final one for now. Alien Xenomorph has one for you, Mr. H. Mr. H, why is your ego so big? Well, because he has a reason to, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm not exactly on camera, am I? If my ego was so big, surely I'd be on camera, I guess.
I don't think he's got a very big ego.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was just kidding, but like
it's probably just joking.
Reality, though, no,
I
think he's confident, but I wouldn't say he's got an ego. Yeah.
I think that Mr. H has the exact same level of confidence and ego as all the rest of us that put ourselves out there on YouTube. So yeah, and that's what's needed to go and create great content. And with that, we have some news in the world of Batman, or actually not news so much as we have misunderstandings in the world of Batman, don't we?
Dark Shadow Logan says Mr. H seems down to earth. Well, yeah, he likes to bring us back down.
I can confirm that. Mr. H is a really cool, down to earth guy.
Yeah, because I'm sure Mr. H, when he heard this nonsense yesterday, probably thought some of the same shit I did. Is like, where the hell are we getting this from? Because
me and Andre were live when this happened.
Yeah, why don't you go from there for to start with, and then Andre can bring me in as the story goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the background of the story, at least from our point of view, is that as some of you may have seen, and if you haven't, you should go check out yesterday's video about Batman and DC and all of that. That was taken from a really shoddy conducted interview in the New York Times. It was actually a really appalling interview. It showed no journalism standard whatsoever. So I do tear the interview apart and I question the whole purpose of it. So I recorded that on Sunday. No, Monday. Monday. I wrote it on Sunday. I recorded it on Monday, and then I sent it off to Tom. And while Tom was editing it, and this was the same time that I was on live with Mr. H over at his channel, which I am prone to be every Monday at 10 p.m. Central European time and 9 p.m. British time. So do check his channel out for that.
Which is like 3 o'clock American time Central.
Yeah. Then what happened was this fake news that Michael Keaton, not Ben Affleck, is set to be the main Batman in the DC EU franchise. Now, Tom, why don't you take it from there? How did you experience all this, and how did this start?
Well, this popped up in my Twitter feed as you said, I think I was just finishing up or in the middle of working on somewhere in between the DC video that we just released, as you pointed out. And I'm seeing this headline. I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? I'm like, this is, and so I traced it back, and it turns out that the idiot who, and I use this term, I'm sorry, I don't normally call people this, but this guy's a fucking idiot. All right. Let's be clear. This idiot who wrote the article that you're talking about, Andre.
Yeah, the journalist, and I use the term lightly,
Loosely,
from the New York Times.
Yeah, is the one who started this whole entire fucking thing. Okay, now granted, some other news organizations went and ran with it like wildfire, and that's where I was trying to tell everybody this is fake fucking news. I even sent, because Gary was live with Az, I think at the time, I sent him a super chat to try and get his attention. I texted you and messaged you, and I think, like you said, you were live and stuff. I was trying to get everybody's attention and let them know that this is fake fucking news and it's spreading like wildfire. Because in the same exact fucking article that this guy wrote, he specifically says Ben Affleck is returning as Batman.
Yeah, to be clear, it's like this New York Times article. It's a dumbass who wrote that, who quoted Walter Hamada when Walter Hamada was the one who said, "Yeah, Ben Affleck is back."
Yeah,
but the whole piece is really weirdly formatted as well. Like you don't know what Walter has actually said and what he hasn't, and what part is these writers. Like it is genuinely all over the place. And even if you take just the little quotation marks as that is absolutely the only thing Walter said, what did he speak to him via then? Like, because it's barely anything. It's not even worth an article at that point. Like he hasn't. The amount of quotes that are there are tiny. There's really nothing that's actually quoted.
Right.
A lot of it's told in story form. Like, oh, he's going to be doing this now. It's like, well, can we have the quote then, please?
Well, there was actually another individual that they borrowed quotes from, and then the other times they just cited, what was it, inside Warner Brothers higher ups. I can't remember the exact wording, but they didn't even specify who said these things.
Yeah, no, not at all. It was just like recounting, and that recounting was very frequently incorrect. And when it was interesting, when we learned something new, again, as you pointed out, Mr. H, we didn't know, is this a quote from Walter Hamada, or is this something that the author assumes or thinks? Like, for instance...
Oh, it didn't take me that long to figure out that it was the author assuming, but yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah. No, like, just for instance, like this terminology with Earth 1 or Earth 2, it was framed in such a way that it seems very likely that it came from Hamada, but we don't actually know, because it's not specified if that's the case or not.
No, but what we do know is, like you said, the way you explained the Earth 1, Earth 2 business, it's pretty well laid out. And how the actual author from the New York Times got this wrong, or the interviewee, whoever it was, got that part wrong, is beyond me, because they wrote the damn thing. And it clearly states Earth 1 is the Snyderverse. Like you said, it's the storyline we've been following to this point that is the main A storyline. Earth 2 is everything else that happened before, be it Christopher Reeve's Superman, Michael Keaton Batman, what's her face is Catwoman.
Well, I think specifically, it's where it's the adventures of Robert Pattinson. That's Earth 2. Whereas everything else that happened
that's
before,
where he falls.
Not specified.
Yeah,
not specified.
Or whatever. Yeah. It's all multiverse, and that's the whole thing. Is like nothing is off the table. Now that doesn't mean that Michael Keaton isn't going to come back only after the Flash movie, because we've heard other rumors. But at this point, all that All that we know for sure is that he's going to be in the Flashpoint movie. And that was basically confirmed by this article. Because prior to this, Michael Keaton had said it's not a done deal yet. But he was actually answering the question to returning to multiple films. So there's that as well. So I do feel like that this was just something that was completely taken out of context, blown out of proportion, turned into fake news, and should have been stopped at the source. And it wasn't.
But then everyone quoting it, like a load of people that were like, "Oh no, definitely, he absolutely is." All those articles running on Twitter and stuff like that just cited the article. Like if you went to the article as well, like there still wasn't really anything there. Like I get that the guy said it in a reply to a tweet as well, but it still wasn't obvious. Like there still wasn't, like all the outlets reporting on it. It just like it was just obvious nonsense. Like there was no clear confirmation anywhere.
It took me no time to figure out it was fake news, like I said, and then the fact that all these other, and I actually tweeted the original. I don't think it was CBR who originally broke it. If it was, I can't remember.
No, it was something podcast because I saw your tweet.
Yeah, because I tweeted on the original quote unquote breaking of the story, and I'm like, this is fake news, and I even showed him the quote, and I'm like, it's from this specific article that you guys are citing that actually says, in quotes, Ben Affleck is returning. It's like, what the fuck? We already knew Ben was coming back. That was beyond question. That's what I got. Like, I don't even understand how these stories. This is how stupid some journalists are. You know, I just don't get it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's times where we've made mistakes in videos that have gotten past us, but they're generally pretty minor shit, right? And we do our best in due diligence to make sure that every, I is dotted, T is crossed before those videos go out with, as much as possible within a meaning, within the time frame that's, still meaningful for the story. And I just can't see how people. It's not a big deal to write a story and reread it. Like, where are the editors? Where are the people to stop this shit? I don't understand.
Because, here's the thing that when we do a story, there's generally no doubt where, for instance, a direct quote or citing a source stops and where our editorial take continues. There's a very clear distinction there. And that really failed in this thing right here in a pretty spectacular way.
What was worse is Warner Brothers didn't jump on it either.
Well, they might have behind the scenes, but
but you would think it would have took nothing for Warner Brothers to put out an official tweet.
But I guess that the article got what they wanted out there, and then they probably didn't care too much about the rest. That's kind of like the that I got that the whole.
That's probably the more interesting conversation, Andre, is the disarray that's going on behind the scenes at Warner Brothers, and I think that's where a lot of this shit spawns from. And you might be right; they don't care to stop it. They'll let the disinformation go round and round right now because they'd probably rather have Michael Keaton than Ben Affleck at Warner Brothers anyway. But I can't believe AT&T didn't step up and say, "No, wait a minute here."
They probably didn't know. And if they were to come out right now, I would imagine that the powers that be at AT&T, they weren't aware of this before it was published. And if they now suddenly go out and publicly make a statement or a correction or something like that, well, then they're just going to look every bit as divided as they actually are. Which probably is counter-intentional from their point of view, I should imagine.
Mr. H, what's your take on this whole inside business over at AT&T and Warner Brothers as far as like they're basically at odds with each other right now?
Well, I mean, Walter Hamada's on board for anher
he just got renewed.
So
yeah.
They must be relatively happy with them at the very least. And, Cryborg ain't coming back. So there is that. And that's always quite comical. Or Byborg, should we say. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, the whole thing's... You never know with Warner Brothers how they handle DC properties because it's all over the place. I just want to see some good DC at the end of the day. Like... yeah, they're just all over the place. So no idea. But, we heard reports that Walter wasn't going to come back, and now he is, and there's reports that Justice League is done, but now it's not, and it's literally all over the place.
That was also really bad that they published that quote that Justice League is a dead end, which we know that it's not. It's going to depend entirely on the reception to Justice League. If it bombs completely on HBO Max, then it's a one and done deal. But if it doesn't, they have like 10 spin-offs lined up that are just waiting for the green light. Not literally 10, but multiple.
And that's what I was kind of thinking too, is like, I mean, if this thing turns out like Wonder Woman 84, then oh hell no, the Snyderverse is dead in the door now. But if, Justice League happens to be decent enough and people talk about it enough and it starts to generate buzz and get subscribers, then the Snyderverse is more than back alive. But that it'll be without Cyborg, as you were pointing out, Mr. H. This whole Ray Fisher thing seems to have come to a head, and not in a way that I thought it would. I thought for sure
this is the way that I thought it would go down.
Well, to a point,
don't
but
run your mouth that much and expect to still have a career. He went about it in completely the wrong way. Like I get
right.
it. Like it's just
except for one thing, Mr. H. In this day and age right now, he picked the perfect opportune time to pull this because
he did. That's
the media's
reason
been on his side this whole time. I mean, we know, we've sat here and we've seen it for what it really is. Because I've said it, I don't know how many times, the motherfuckers had to make me stand up for Joss Whedon, and I don't want to have to do that. But because I don't like Joss Whedon any more than the next guy, but I have a hard time believing. Yeah, but I have a hard time believing he's fucking a racist asshole. I just but I'm more apt to believe that Ray Fisher was being a difficult actor who's never been in a movie before, and thought he was the star.
I think the aftermath kind of indicates that he is he's a drama queen. He's what we don't have them quite as much anymore, but he is what would be called a lovey in the acting career. He and generally speaking as well, loveys used to come from theatre backgrounds. And what does he come from? Theatre background.
Yeah.
He is a lovey through and through, and he thinks he's too big for his boots. And I mean, look, I don't like Joss Whedon. I think he's a trash human anyway. But getting someone to say booyah and not taking their script ideas on board is really not a big deal at the end of the day. And as well, the whole abuse thing, nothing ever was actually out and out stated for what he was supposedly done, and abuse is so subjective, what someone deems abuse versus what someone else does. Like that, bloody Christopher Nolan doesn't allow seats on set, right? So he doesn't let his people sit down, right?
Doesn't even also allow cell phones either, does he?
Yeah. So some people could say that that's abuse, right? It's dependent on, it is dependent on where you sit on the spectrum of being a snowflake at the end of the day. So, I mean, there was the report that The Sun, that trash rag, did recently that the Batman's in trouble because Matt Reeves wants to do 50 takes. Oh well, fucking riddle me this, bitch. Like what did you think that Stanley Kubrick would he's gonna laugh in his face at something like that? It's not, you just anyway, whatever, what I mean though. Like it's just, it was always going to end this way. The guy can't run his mouth to the extreme. He got what he wanted. Warner Brothers gave him what he wanted, the little investigation, and then they were like, see you later now, mate. Bye. We don't have to have you back. You're done. See you later.
No, and that's the funny thing about it is I thought for sure this is the reason why I didn't think it would end this way, is because with the whole Snyder business, he was kind of protected at that point between that and the whole BLM thing. And, as long as he kept crying racism, I figured he would be safe. But I got to admit, I'm impressed that they,
It's how he went about it. You've still got Ezra Miller on board. You've still got Amber Heard.
I know, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's how he went about it. It was so public. It was very much, it was just loudmouth. It was just a loudmouth situation, and there, I don't know. At the end of the day as well, like you've got to look at it from, multi a multifaceted approach on multiple angles, is that even if those things were true, right? Even if he did do all of these, horrible things and things like that, right? You still have to have an air of professional, approach to these things, even if you are trying to get, investigations done and things like that. Because at the end of the day, as he will now learn, you still have to appear professional because you have to protect yourself. You have to protect your own career. And he's done. Like, he's not even a good actor, for God's sake. It'd be different if he was a good actor, but he's not. Warner Brothers got rid of Johnny Depp. So why did he think he was safe?
Well, that's not.
Why did he think he was safe when they got rid of Johnny
Depp? Me into that clusterfuck of stupid. I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms.
No, I know, but you see,
it
my
does
point,
equate.
Though, right?
I get what you're saying, right? Yeah, like no, I don't.
Someone with massive star power like Johnny Depp, someone who is it Hugo Boss have refused to bin off because they're like, no, he makes us loads of money. That's why we hire him. So piss off. And then he's just running his mouth all day long, and he doesn't expect to be fired off. Like, really? Come on.
Well, no, I don't think he does. I really feel like that people like him and Amber feel like they're going to be protected no matter what. And with Amber, look, it happened. I mean, look at Ezra Miller. He even choked a bitch and nothing happened.
On camera, literally on camera. On camera. Did it? Like, literally, how can you deny it? It's all there. It's on camera. And no one's like, whoa. Yeah, I just...
You learn it? Did you want to fight? Is that the deal?
Yeah, I have it. I read it at will.
Tom has a huge bank of clips ready to go.
Oh my God,
including that one.
Oh, you don't want to know how many. I got too many. I got to clean it out a little bit. Because I've even got the cyborg one from like
really cool. You guys seem ready to do battle and stuff.
Yeah, I got all kinds of weird shit in here, but anyway. No, I found the whole Ray Fisher thing fascinating, especially in the wake of John Boyega's situation, considering, John actually has something to stand on. He actually has some legitimate gripes. Ray, on the other hand, I think was just trying to follow suit, and I hope he quickly realized that he just basically ended his career. And this is the first time I've seen anything like this happen where it's like, finally, justice seems to have been served in some way. I hate sticking up for certain individuals in this position, but if I had to work with Ray Fisher, and I know Mr. H speaking from a director's point of view, how would you have dealt with something like that? I'm sure you would have booted his ass off the set too.
Oh, mate, you've no idea. Like, I've worked with some hard actors, even on the 2 films that I've done, and it's awful. Having someone come up to you and go, "Oh, I tell you what, do you want to just do it again? Can we just do it? I think we should do it a bit like this." And you're like, "No, I'm really, really happy." And you need to learn, just to kind of go along with it. But on a big production like that, you can't go along with it. You can't just say, "Yeah, no, sure, no worries, mate. We'll just do that just to keep him happy." You can't. It's an impossibility because there's too much money on the line. Like you physically can't do anything like that. And he was always on about, he was talking about getting. If someone asked if they could change my script, I'd be like, "No, piss off. Like, you signed on board for this script. Like, I'm not changing it for you. Like, that's not how this works." Like, what? I don't mind doing some different angles and doing a little bit of improv on the fly, but don't change the script. No, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll see what happens with his career after that.
Yeah.
But let's go through some more super chats to get up like, to.
Well, I was just going to say, never mind. Yeah, let's get to super chats. Go for it.
Yeah. Nate G says, "Can you think of an example of replacing a long-standing female character with a male one?"
No, not offhand.
Not that comes to mind, no. And Roger Haynes says for 10 Canadian dollars, thank you so much. I think having to work on a lower budget also forces better storytelling as well.
Agreed.
CBS should change Star Trek back to the syndication model with 20 plus episodes a season with, say, NCIS level quality.
No, you're not wrong. And I don't necessarily mean that will not, fix everything, but I think a big budget should be earned. I don't think you should get, carte blanche off the bat. Prove yourself. Then you get the big bucks, buddy. I mean, that's what most normal people deal with in life. I mean, why should a TV show be any different? And Star Trek, in every other incarnation we've seen to this point, kind of runs from that kind of mentality, right, Andre? I mean, that's why they famously have, so many bottle episodes in a season, is so they can save money on these episodes so they can put the money into the, more effects heavy episodes that are, that come, here, to generate more interest in the show and whatnot and have you and blah, 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 blah. But that's the whole point. It's like, you can't just shoot your wad. And not only that, these people are shooting a huge wad. I mean, fucking Star Trek Discovery and Picard was what? $40 million or $400 million for the one season of Picard?
Loads of money down the drain, that's for certain.
And even more than that for Discovery?
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, my view is that the only thing that's worse than something that has way too little money is something that has way too much money.
Yeah.
Because then, if you have like too much, then at least in my opinion, much is wasted on things that where you could have found a better solution that was cheaper. Like, for instance, what I like to call CGI crap storms, where you have loads of like CGI rubble flying around on screen from like some monster thing in the sky or something.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have that, the movie would probably be better. And they have that because they have money to spend. I also think that like Blade Runner 2049 suffered a little bit from this. It was like too artificial, too made up, too CGI reliant, in way too big an extent. And that's because it had a ridiculous budget. It should have like a third of the budget. Would probably have been a better movie with exactly the same story, but 1/3 of the resources to tell that story with. That's my thoughts, at least. Mr.
No,
H?
you're right, Andre. And I want to get Mr. H's take on this, but I think that's a good point, is that we have too many movies where the budget does not necessitate what the story, where it comes from. You know what I mean? Like, when an episode of Discovery costs as much as it costs to make the original Star Wars film, and I get it, that's not with inflation, but still, point is sound enough. Something's wrong. But yeah, Mr. H, I'm curious to hear from you, because I mean, as a director, I got to imagine, inspiration and trying to make something work in the worst of conditions, bring out some of the best film. Look at Jaws.
Literally, Jaws is always the go-to, isn't it? Jaws is the absolute go-to. It exemplifies filmmakers under incredible pressure with very limited resources, and I think that is true. Like, I think ultimately you can throw too much money at things, and it can be too coddled. In terms of the resources that you have, I've got everything at my disposal. Don't worry, I'll fix. One of the things that wasn't it George Lucas was notorious for was like, we can just fix it in post, or we can just do this and we can do that. I think it was him on the prequels or something like that. I know that there's a director, and it doesn't matter. But the point is that when you come to a stage now when people are like, well, just fix it in post, or we'll just do this, and we can just do that, and blah 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 blah. I mean, that's bad in and unto itself. But then not only that, you have the fact that if you have all the money in the world and all the resources in the world, you're not that focused on the narrative. The narrative should always carry it. It's a story at the end of the day. It's stories being told through a visual medium. So if you don't have that, you don't have a good story. What's the point? Like, there's literally just no point at all. So yeah, like they should always go back to, completely strip it down. Have you earned the money? No. Right. Okay. We'll strip it back then. Completely strip it back.
No, I think that's what's funny is they have all the money in the world and they can do anything in movies now, but they have nothing to say.
Yeah, narrative again, because I think they've fundamentally forgotten the fact that you're there to tell a story. It's just a story being told through. It's a book, right? It's a book being told through a visual medium, however you want to phrase it. That's all it is. And if they read the books that they're putting out, they'd probably fall asleep because they're crap.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just it gets well. And Frankie Zen says 2049 was good. I literally don't know what the haters wanted from the movie. Most of them didn't watch or like Blade Runner. No, I get where you're coming from, Frankie, but I've also heard people who are huge fans who hated the film. But I also understand what Andre's saying. A lot of
I liked that movie.
I
fine.
like the movie too, but it does feel very pretentious in its effects. Like it's like you could have really cut down on this shit.
Exactly, that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, it became pretentious. That's exactly what I felt, that it was pretentious in its effects. And I think it actually detracted from the movie a bit.
Well, it was a detriment overall to the film because of the high budget. They were never going to get a sequel. If they would have done it for 2/3 of the budget, then they might have gotten a sequel out of it.
Yeah, or 1/3. I mean, the money that they spent on that one movie, they could have made 3 movies for. No joke.
No, you're right. You're right. And I think that's the biggest problem. And that's going to be one of the things. And it is interesting to have this conversation because coming out of the pandemic world, I think this is going to be a very important question that a lot of studio heads and other people are going to be asking that the producers already know the answers to. And that's the big, thing we talked about the last few weeks with, HBO Max's big announcement where, actors and managers and other people are like up in arms about it. But the ones you don't hear saying a fucking word are producers, because they know what's on the wall. They know where this is headed, and they know what's going to happen, and they know what they can work with. And they would love to see the $200 million movies go out the fucking window because they can't afford it anymore. And, there's no profit in spending $200 million on a movie when you have to make $1 billion to make any money on it. It's an insane business plan. The odds of it happening are so slim. And unless you're Disney, you just can't guarantee it. Disney can saturate the market and make a hit on anything pretty much. And nobody else can do that though. It's not a feasible thing.
Indeed.
Even shit that Disney technically loses money on, they're still able to saturate the market with it and find a way to profit off it somehow. That's my point, but yeah.
Yeah, let's hope.
No, I don't hope. I hope they lose money so they quit doing it, but no, I know what you're saying, Andre.
Yeah, exactly. That's and moving on from there, Fat Steven Seagal beat up Hidalgo, I guess. The Force is a jam pastry. I wish you good vibes. And Adam Wofford says, can we get Mr. H cast as Pinhead Hellraiser series?
Yeah, I've heard you've been doing pretty well with your readings of the comics. Is that what it is? But you're doing
it turned out to be 7.5, maybe even 8 hours worth of Hellraiser dramatizations of the Boom comics. I've just started now Hellraiser Bestiary, so that's starting. One's releasing tonight about 11 p.m. if I remember rightly, and they'll be continuing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Gives something, gives people something to look forward to. It's just a nice scheduled thing like these. You guys do these things every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I release my my sort of comic audiobooks every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's just a nice thing. People need some stability right now, I think, whilst the world is sort of crumbling around them. So it's nice for people.
Mike Cat also says, Mr. H reading Hellraiser is what I look forward to. So everyone should actually go check that out over at Mr. H Reviews, his Hellraiser readings, because they are really, really good. So absolutely check that out. While we're on the topic of Hellraiser, any news on the TV series?
Oh, you were just talking about that, weren't you?
Say that again, sorry?
So weren't you just talking about that the other day? I thought I saw on one of the streams. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Yeah, so I was with Robert Meyer Burnett and Script Doctor when that happened. So because I did a video where I basically posited that, oh, it's I think it's dead in the water basically. And prior to that, I also reached out to
What, the Hellraiser series?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, God, crap! I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, so it's a bit of a story. So I did this video, and prior to that, much like you will do with any source that you have, or much like Variety did, and whatever with the BBC trying to get comment on Doctor Who, whatever. You reach out to these people when you ask for comment. So I reached out to a producer on Hellraiser because I know the person. I've spoken to him a few times. And he didn't reply in time for the video, so the video got released anyway. And in the video, it was interesting because I did say, hey, this is all speculation, but maybe it will make people come out of the woodwork and actually give me an update, which these things often do, and I'm sure you've experienced that yourself. And so, boy, did this producer reply, got massively pissed off, hugely pissed off, actually, saying, you're just fishing for stuff, blah, 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 blah. Which, yeah, I was, absolutely. But in that exchange, they did reveal that, unfortunately, the only stage that they're at is actually just getting some scripts together for, and this was the key quote here, for HBO to greenlight. So they've not actually even greenlit a show. So those reports going around before saying it's absolutely confirmed it's going to be on HBO, and all this kind of stuff, which I thought was the case, right? Because that's what I was led to believe as well. It's not actually happening yet. It's not been officially greenlit. They have just provisionally gone, yeah, we'll take a look at it when you get stuff together. So it is technically, currently, as I posited in that video, in development hell.
Yeah,
well,
there you go.
That's unfortunate because it seemed really, really exciting. But yeah, fingers crossed that it will exit development hell at some point.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I above anyone else would I would thrive off of that. Like, my channel would be, great content. Like, I would absolutely love a show. But it rings very much as deja vu with respect to Mega City 1 being announced and then just fallen by the wayside. They announced it too soon, basically. I think that's what happened with the Hellraiser thing. They announced it too soon. It wasn't officially greenlit, but they wanted to get some updates out there ASAP. So they tried. And I look, I want it to be good. I think it's got all of the promise that it could have right now with who's involved. Yeah, it could be better, but I think it's looking pretty promising. So we'll just see. I want it to happen, and I want it to be good. So yeah.
Well, I don't want to sound like the contrarian or anything like that. But when you guys were talking about that, I was listening, and I'm like, you know what this sounds like, and reminds me of when they got that out in the press, and like it was a done deal when it really wasn't. Sounds like every time we hear about Section 31 or one of these other millions of Star Trek series that have been announced that basically are just announced to do what, Andre?
To drum up interest in whatever is happening right now.
And or gain some type of funding as well. And in this case, it sounds to me like the whole getting the word out there about the Hellraiser thing was like trying to get HBO to commit. I
think that there's another part to this as well, which is interesting. Like none of Deadline, Variety, a Hollywood Reporter, none of these people have actually tied the they've not connected the dots on this, and it's there, like it's literally there as clear as day, and I don't understand why no one's done it. It's also the Clive Barker situation. So Clive Barker initiated a lawsuit for the Hellraiser movie rights to come back to him, right? And that's absolutely fine. He can do whatever he likes, So he did that, and he had pushback from one Larry Cuppin, right? Who isn't the rights holder of the movie rights, but he was working as a producer on the Hellraiser reboot movie, because the rights were with New Line, I think. I can't remember rightly, but the key name there is Larry Cuppin, and there was pushback from Larry Cuppin. Now, who owns? So that happened. That lawsuit happened, and before the final, the announcement of the end result of the lawsuit was announced, we had news and confirmation that Clive Barker was on board with the TV show as an executive producer, and I thought that's very strange. That's quite odd. Then we learn that Clive Barker wins the lawsuit, and he's still on board the TV series. But who is the TV rights holder? It is a one, reportedly, Lawrence Cuppin. Larry and Lawrence are the same person. So Larry Cuppin pushed back quite hard on the movie lawsuit, and yet he just, bends over and lets Clive on board as an executive producer for the TV show. Very strange. So I think ultimately, the development hell part is probably coming from the fact that Clive Barker getting involved has caused some major issues. Now, I don't think he's got the rights back, like from anywhere I can tell. He doesn't have the rights back to the TV show. And I think ultimately what Larry Lawrence Cuppin has done is allow Clive Barker on board as a means to, sort of delay any potential lawsuit and just have him on board as a name. But if they're still struggling to get scripts together, it might be a possibility that Clive has some form of a creative say as well, which would be a shame, actually, to be honest. Because if anyone's taken a look at the Scarlet Gospels or his reboot script, which I have exclusively on my channel, it's not very good.
Yeah. I've seen your coverage of that script, and we were better off not getting it. Let's just say.
Well, both scripts, because he did a script treatment. Because again, loads of people will know that he's been announced multiple times that he was going to do a reboot, loads of times. So there's a script treatment which is not particularly great, and then there's also a full-blown script which is again not particularly great. Where Le Martian becomes Pinhead and all this, it's not particularly great.
And the Scarlet Gospels, which is Clive Barker's attempt at writing a Pinhead full-length novel, crossing it over with Harry D'Amour, was also not great.
That was ghost-written. All of his stuff is ghost-written for the last couple of years, by the way.
Yeah.
Just as an FYI.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised in the slightest, because when you look at him, he's obviously not in shape to even hold up a pen, much less write a book. No,
not at all. And it's a shame. Like, no one can deny his previous work has been very, very good, and it has been very, very good. But he's fallen far from the tree which was his genius.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's move back into the last couple of super chats. Short 72 HP1 sent us a super sticker with a little kitty giving us a thumbs up or something, so thanks for that. And Dwayne Olson asks, who is running the editing of the Snyder Cut miniseries at Warner's? Are TPTB at Warner's sabotaging it to undercut AT&T's intent? Now, who's running the Snyder Cut is actually Zack Snyder himself, and he's answering directly to AT&T, because there's actually like two separate DC operations going on, because AT&T has one for HBO Max, but then Warner's has one for the big screen, and that's the one that's being run by Walter Hamada. So there they actually have some dual running, and not necessarily the kind of consistency that you would want. If Warner's are trying to undercut AT&T's intent, I would not be surprised if that was the case, because you have a case there where you have competition within the same corporation. and I don't think everyone is equally happy about it. Your thoughts on that, Mr. H?
Yeah, no, I agree. Nothing further to add, really. No.
Yeah.
No, it's
Tom?
what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, that I don't think AT&T would allow that kind of sabotage. And I mean, at the same time, AT&T may have known that Wonder Woman was going to be a dud. That's probably why they're like, "Fuck it." There's no sense in delaying the inevitable, because you could have delayed Wonder Woman inevitably, basically, and saved it for when the theaters were open. And if HBO or if Warner Brothers really wanted to do that, but no, like between getting HBO Max subscribers and knowing that it was probably a dud, they just dumped it on HBO Max. As far as the Snyder Cut, though, that's their baby right now. They're not going to let anything happen to that. So
Yeah, indeed. That's as we've been making the point across several videos for the best part of 6 months now. That's their answer to The Mandalorian. And it's not just a one-off. That's not the intention. The intention is to have multiple spin-offs and follow-ups. But we'll see what happens.
Look at it this way too: the whole like Wonder Woman 3 coming across the transom, like it was, maybe that was Warner Brothers and not AT&T's call, because the thing is with the Wonder Woman movie, it's so far removed from the Snyderverse that the less the less people like it, the more chance of the Snyderverse continuing is going to happen. Because, yeah. Anyway, I think you get what I'm saying, Andre.
Yeah. Indeed. It's corporate competition going on
Yes.
there, and even if Walter Hamada is renewed, you still have 2 separate DC regimes right now in the same corporation, and none of the heads of those 2 regimes are probably too happy about it. Least of all, the Warner regime run by Hamada, because they are the ones getting usurped and overtaken.
Who basically have had one hit in the last, however many years? Joker.
Well, actually, they had 2, Joker and Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman. Sorry, I forgot about Aquaman. See, that's how memorable Aquaman is, though.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a woman and I don't give a shit about fucking Jason Momoa with his shirt off, so whatever.
Exactly. And Captain Robert April says, for $10, thank you so much. Oh, Tom, this is one for you. I think that you probably know what he's talking about, because I sure don't. I've been catching crap from a Ketwalski supporter over a video I did months ago on his stunt of planting rumors, with most of the clapback involving trashing you and Doomcock. So some of our haters, then, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Don't give him any time of day, especially if it's not even him individually. If it's one of his supporters, even less of a reason to give him any attention. Look, the individual that you're talking about, I've had a few run-ins with them. I tried to reason and talk with them personally. The funny thing is a lot of the shit they like to project on other people, they're obviously doing themselves. I'm just going to say it and put it like that. I think that's the safest way to say it, Andre. Yeah.
Is this the guy that gets goodie bags and stuff from CBS?
Yeah, that'd be the one who likes to call everybody
that
grifters and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, that should tell you everything you need to know. For the record, we have never received any goodie bags or anything like that, whether from Conan or anywhere else.
They've been nice.
Yeah. They've been nice. They have that, but
I got accused of getting a lot of shit from Bill and Ted. No, I bought all that shit. So, yeah, the only thing I got for free was to see the movie, a week early? 2 weeks early, I think it was? Whatever it was. A couple weeks early, that was it. And it wasn't like that was that special, considering everybody got to watch it at home a couple weeks later. It's like, yeah, that was the only thing I got out of it. So if anybody wants to accuse me of anything, go right ahead.
Versus someone that actually do get goodie bags from the studio that makes Star Trek that everyone hates. So yeah, go figure. That's all I know, by the way. I didn't know nothing else about this.
Andre literally pays absolutely no attention to that shit.
Yeah, no, none at all. Call me out on Twitter all you want. I'm probably not even going to see it.
I mean, I get bombarded with it from people, but like, I mean, I'm Mr. H. I know you've dealt with that one idiot too, and a few other people, same kind of thing. You're better off just ignoring them after a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, you know, I think it's always good to say your piece civilly as a reply, but these people don't, you know, don't stand to reason. So you say your piece and then you just kind of ignore them because that's that's it really. You don't even have to do say your piece, but I like to.
No, but I mean, at least no, you're right as far as like, you know, giving the people the benefit of the doubt. I tried to reason with this individual, like I said, they weren't going to listen to reason. It was pretty obvious they were going to run with whatever they were going to run with, no matter what. So,
Yep, there you go. Don't look for reason and logic where there is none.
No,
exactly.
God,
That's
no.
illogical.
Yeah, indeed.
But no, Natasha's right. Don't mess with Andre. You get on his radar, that's not a good place to be.
No, this is true.
I've only seen him flip the switch once or twice, and it's scary. So it's not scary because he like blows up. It's because he's so calm, collective. It's cool. It's like fucking John Wick. You don't know where it's going to come from. He's just going to do his thing, you know. And I'm not going to get into the couple times you have, but yeah.
Exactly. No, just keep cool and never lose your temper. No good will come from it.
No, that's good. Rob and I do the temper losing, but
exactly. All right. I think we have. I think we are fully up to date on super chats. I'm just going to do a quick double check here, but I think we caught them all, like one does with Pokemons. No, we did not.
You might want to double check just in case.
Yeah, we always do a double check. We tune to see says, wished they do a movie adaptation of Clive Barker's Imagica. Good for at least 3-4 movies. Could potentially even beat Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Mr. H, that's a tall order. What do you think?
I wouldn't say beat Lord of the Rings, but yeah, like definitely. Maybe like a limited series, something like that, for sure.
Yeah. Personally, I wouldn't mind the one that was never finished. We're still waiting for the third book of the art, aren't we? I wouldn't have mind seeing like that adapted for like a series or something if it was ever finished.
Yeah, true, absolutely. Also, I say move on to other people now as well, though. You know, there are better artists out there now that are conjuring up, you know, newer, maybe a bit inspired things, but you know, give the spotlight to other people, newer people.
Yeah, indeed. Or also revisit like some of the stuff from when Barker really did great stuff. Like I can't believe that like that Book of Blood movie dropped the ball so badly, almost worse than the previous one. With all of that source material in the Books of Blood, like his like collection of like six little pamphlets of stories, and we've got those bad movies from it. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Was there any more super chats?
No. Now we are caught up.
I want to take a few minutes here at the end of the show, since we didn't go as far over as we normally do, and since we're probably not going to get a proper review because it's way after Christmas now. I want to hear what you thought about Fat Man, Andre.
I thought it was awesome. Fat Man, of course, is the movie starring Mel Gibson as Santa Claus and the great Walton Goggins as the hitman that has been sent to kill him by young baby Ben Shapiro, because that's who we reminded me of, that was displeased with his Christmas present.
And so you liked it, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really good. I thought that they had done some really, really cool twists with the mythology at the same time as that they kind of like left things open for a possible sequel, if that's obviously never going to happen. But what I mean is like you could see that there's a larger mythology at play there.
Yeah, especially when Mel Gibson's like, "You're not the first,
Exactly. I caught that thing too. Like, there you have like stories of how people have come gunning for Santa before, but also when he said that I didn't get this job because I'm so kind and jolly.
Yeah.
I didn't get that job. Someone gave him that job. He might not have been the first. And that's kind of like, I was like thinking for a second there, oh, Walton Goggins is actually gone off him and be the new Santa Claus. I thought they were going to go that direction for a second there.
No, it was really great how they played it out. And Mr. H, I haven't really got to hear too much on your views because we were avoiding spoilers before, but so I know.
I love it. I thought it
Yeah.
was fantastic. That's my new favorite Christmas movie. Like it's so good. It was just it was great. Like I enjoyed the mythology of the elves as well. You know, oh, we run on this. Oh, isn't that bad for your health? No. You know, we what was it, like 7 meals and we sleep for like 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, 20-minute naps. Yeah.
It was so good. It was just it reminded me of like an 80s movie, you know, like an 80s sort of.
Yes, it did. Yes, it had like that atmosphere.
Well, like I said, it's almost like if Tarantino made a Christmas movie, but it's just not as like.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty bloody, but it wasn't. It was good. It was really, really good. And the things that they did, I'm surprised that they did. You know, like having the child, like kidnap certain people. Do you know what I mean? All these guys. I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but you know, just certain bits and pieces that they managed to. It was good. Strongly recommend.
Yes, and it's another film like I just saw the chat and then it just went away, but like the wife is black. Here it is, dongs. Santa even had a black wife and it didn't bother me. Yeah, because it's good writing. You know, nobody has a problem with diversity. Sonic was another one that did it really well. Yeah, go ahead.
But it's just a relationship. No one cares. Like it's
exactly.
They're not. He's not saying, "Oh, well, you know that time that I took you from the slave plantation." Blah blah blah. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not written into it that there's a reason for it. It's just it is, that's real life. It is. You know, you don't go to a party and someone come up to you and go, "Did you meet my black wife?" Like what? You'd be like, "What you on about?" It just is. That's when. You know, things like that are just that when it works, because it just is when it's actual representation of real life.
Yeah, no, and then that's the thing. And like I brought up, Sonic 2 is another great example because, you know, you didn't have a bunch of, oh, it's because you're with that white boy. That's why your marriage isn't working crap or anything like that. Or like you were saying with,
exactly.
Batman, that's just the great part about it. And that's diversity done right. And it's been done for years. It's just never been called attention to before. Like, why? Because it was done well. Antonio Cardenas, if I'm saying that right, totally enjoyed John Wick kicking Batwoman's behind. Yes. What's her face in the second John Wick movie, wasn't it?
The deaf
mute
hitman.
Yeah,
or assassin.
Yeah.
That's actually a straight white mage has a question to the earlier super chat about can we remember a single time when a woman was recast with a man, and straight white mage can remember that, saying yes, 3 movies of female officer Lewis in RoboCop replaced in reboot with boring male Lewis.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that because I've only watched
that. Was so bad. That was so bad. Like I thought that was so bad because it's not like I was like thinking, yes, another one for team Y chromosome. No, that was really bad.
No, it's because they totally missed the point of Lewis. Because Lewis is meant to be like, she's there originally in the script to trick you into thinking she's going to be some kind of love interest when she's obviously not. And in this movie, I think they avoided using her because they made the wife so important in this one, where in the original one, the wife was not. So like this the new RoboCop, or newer RoboCop now, because it's almost 10 years old now.
6 years. I think it was 2014.
Yeah, so we're getting on there. But like my whole point was like, it's it was like an anti-RoboCop movie. It was like everything the original movie was about. This movie tried to do the opposite. It was, yeah, it was just weird. I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of like, why? That was my kind of thing afterwards. It was just like, why? And I totally spaced out that they replaced Lewis with a male. That's how memorable it was, basically. So there you go. Mr. H, what did you feel about the RoboCop reboot?
Yeah, that's
About that much?
about that much. About 350.
About 350. No, see, like Andre likes RoboCop, but RoboCop is in probably like my top 10. Like, so, like, to me, it was for me to say that the remake wasn't that bad or whatever.
I really like the original RoboCop though, but the remake, such a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, it was just more like, why did you do? Because that's the thing I said too, was like, RoboCop is ripe for a reiteration,
for a sequel.
Or even a sequel, yeah, and more so a sequel. But I wouldn't mind it a decent reiteration.
In Mortal Kombat, you had like an update with Peter Weller reprising RoboCop in like the latest Mortal Kombat game, and you had like the scenes of him voicing then RoboCop. I was just reminded that this guy is RoboCop, and no one else can really do it. And he still got it. He still got it.
We almost got it
just before. So yeah. Whereas you Will Kinnaman is the name of the one who played here. He said I like him in general, but not in that role. He was awful.
No, they missed the boat. They missed the point. And like I was saying, like I would totally love a sequel that we're never going to get now that we almost did. But like I said, RoboCop is not above a reiteration, but not like this. They totally missed the point of RoboCop. Like if they were going to do anything, they should have went back to like Frank Miller's original ideas for the sequels and kind of went from that aspect,
or even go with RoboCop versus Terminator, also
like that,
Miller,
but
have that be the canon third movie for both RoboCop and the Terminator.
But the problem you have there is just the right situation. But no, I agree with you, Andre. There's been so much done. That's the thing. RoboCop wasn't a comic book character to begin with, but he was adopted so well by comic books because he fits so well in that comic book, because that's the way Verhoeven made it. He saw it, he got it when he first read it. He's like, oh, I get this, it's a comic book, he's like, that's all it is. It's it's a surreal world that totally is making fun of itself, but at the same time is a cautionary tale, like, because he threw the original script away. I'm sure some of you have heard the story before, but he took one look at the title. He's like, RoboCop, fuck that shit. And he tossed it in the trash and didn't think about it again. But his wife was cleaning up his office and she saw it and she read it and she come back to him the next day and she goes, you should read this script. It's really good. And he's like, no, I threw it away. Who wants to make a movie called fucking RoboCop? And she's like, no, seriously, read this script. And he's like, within 5 pages, he got it. He's like, it was just like, yeah, it's a satire, Crispy Critters. Exactly. It's a comic book. It's totally what it is. It's meant to be a satire. Exactly.
It was Judge Dredd slightly changed, and I mean that literally. I'll do a
pretty
whole
much.
perspective on this.
Pretty much.
It's like many of his taglines are Judge Dredd's taglines.
Well,
and
honestly,
yes, I see in the
Mega City One or whatever is basically Delta City kind of thing in the making.
Yeah, exactly. And I see many in the comments point out the RoboCop versus Terminator game. Yeah, this is true for the Sega Mega Drive. And you know what? I'm looking at it. You can't see it, but I'm looking at it because I have it in my shelf right here. So yes, I'm very well aware of that game, and it is awesome. It has a fantastic score as well, like one of the best video game scores ever is the one in RoboCop versus Terminator. It rules. And so does the comic.
But yeah, like, no, and it's funny that we got around to RoboCop because Fat Man almost is kind of similar to RoboCop in that it's that kind of a crazy idea, but it worked so well. Like, it almost made a perfect movie out of it. As long as you can just suspend your disbelief for 5 minutes about one or two things, it's amazing. Like, I can't say enough great things about it. Same thing about Fat Man. So if you haven't seen Fat Man, do yourself a favor. It's after Christmas, but who cares?
Yeah, go see you and Fat Man. That's a really, really cool movie.
And make it
Jason,
a Christmas movie.
yeah, and Jason Gallagher points out RoboCop also has an awesome score. Not as good as Conan, though. Here's the funny thing: it's the same guy who made them.
You know what, though? I never thought of this till now. Tarantino should make a RoboCop movie if Blomkamp can't. He would get it. That's the kind of I get it. Anyway, we need to move on and end the show. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And again, I want to thank Mr. H. As always, it's a hoot to have him here. See how I did that with a H word? Yeah,
I did. You're so smart, Tom.
No, not really. People yell at me for my dad jokes. That's what they call them. So there you go. But Andre, was there anything to say before we had to go, or Mr. H to plug before we go?
Mr. H, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, if you want to check out my channel, please do. I cover pop culture, movie news, movie reviews. I've just actually received a whole bunch of screeners for some bits and pieces, so I'll be doing some sort of independent, somewhat straight to DVD movies, but some of them have been really good. So I got them on the way. But yeah, like if you want to check out my channel, please do. I do these Hellraiser dramatizations. It's not just Hellraiser. That's going to be expanding off into other bits and pieces soon. And I also do live stream with Andre on Mondays, and I will be live streaming another day weekly as well. So yeah, there's lots of content to go around.
Yeah, and like you said, if you enjoy especially things like Hellraiser, Alien, stuff like that, Mr. H is your guy. So check out his channel if you haven't already. If you enjoy those kind of things, you might find something you like there.
Indeed. And Robert Bloomsburg just sent us another super chat saying, nice thumbnail. Oh, thank you. Discount Amanda Waller and Soy Boy is a good show of trash. Oh, you see, you thought it was a woman too.
Yeah.
Apparently
There you
it's
go.
not.
I hate to break it to you, Robert. It's a dude.
So, yeah. Or at least it's someone that identifies as a man. Maybe there's some surprises in store for us there.
Yeah, so I can't say for sure until the books come out that I'm not going to read.
Actually, the first one is out already, so yeah.
You know what's funny about that? And every time I'm on someone with especially Friday Night Tights, I'll be damned if he don't say the same damn thing I'm thinking most of the time. And there's times you'll catch us saying the same thing. So that's not probably as is the British term. I think more like I'm the British, the American as is definitely an original. That's for sure. But we would have been brothers in some point, possibly. That's for sure. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us and making this morning show a great success that it has been to this point. Andre, was there anything you had to say before we go?
Only thing I want to say is thanks for joining us. And if you haven't done so already, then put it in your calendars that we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Central European Time. That's 9 a.m. LA time. And wherever else you are, then feel free to translate from those times. And don't trust Google's notifications, because they might show up hours after we've stopped broadcasting.
And a reminder, now that Michael Keaton is officially back as Batman, check out our t-shirt store. We got great designs like the I'm Batman t-shirt, the Defund Hollywood t-shirt, and a whole lot more there, including our Toxic Femininity t-shirt. So check it out. So thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you on Friday. If not, when we do a Discovery review sooner than later. Ugh.